Hey folks, how are you doing? It is Tuesday. It is August 17th, and you are now checked into the Mañana no Mas morning check-in. Super stoked to have you here. I probably say super stoked a lot, don't I? But I just want to reach out again today. I do this daily. I try to jump on and hopefully be inspirational, hopefully lend some value, and hopefully also keep myself a little accountable along the way, right? Because if I say it out loud, I got to make it happen. So I started out today, jumped on Giver Marketing's live presentation. Now, I actually didn't even really plan on doing Giver Marketing today, but I jumped in. I got there a little bit early. I saw my girl Stacy in there. Stacy is fantastic. If you ever need like a virtual assistant to help you with LinkedIn tools or appointment setting or other really smart things, Stacy Stockford would be a great person for you to connect with. Anyway, jumped in, saw Stacy was in there, and she was like, hey, I might need you to co-host with me today. Is that something that you're willing to do? Well, absolutely, I'm willing to do that, right? And then it was confirmation. It's like, that's why I signed in. Life is full of these things. It's full of these unintentional connections. It's full of these things where we're not sure why we do something, but when we commit to doing it, the outcome is exactly what we need to be. Perfect example of this. Last Friday night, I'm in the kitchen with my wife, and I say to her, I am exhausted, okay? Now, there was a lot of work going on with one of my clients, and I had some other things going on, and the kids are going back to school this week, so this was Friday before going back to school, right? And there's just a lot going on. And I said to my wife, I said, man, I don't know what's going on, but I really just don't feel it today. I'm exhausted. I said, I don't even feel like going mountain biking tomorrow. Now, I usually go mountain biking on Saturday mornings, and I usually hit up my friend, Ken, still fresh, Nagata, right? And so I was just going to bail. Like, I don't think I'm going to make it. So, and then my wife looks at me and she says, whenever we don't want to do something and then we do it, the reward is usually fantastic. Right? She didn't say in those exact words. I might be putting a little bit of words in her mouth, but she basically said, don't bail. Like, you like the mountain bike. When you don't want to go, chances are that's when you really should go. So I text Ken and I go, Ken, you mountain biking tomorrow? Are we still on? He goes, yeah, we're still on. I said, okay, I'll try to be there. Well, when I show up, whoop, there goes the camera. When I show up, it was just me and Ken. Just me and Ken. And Ken is like my bicycle buddy. Like, if you follow me on Instagram or look at things on Facebook, you're typically going to see when I'm doing any kind of bicycling activity, there's usually Ken around somewhere, right? The guy's like my dude. And it's just him and I. We go for a fantastic ride in Chino Hills State Park. We got in a good amount of climb. We didn't push each other too hard. I ended up with 5 PRs, which is fantastic. And great exercise, 16 miles, right? And we got it done before the heat of the day. So it just ended up being like getting to the top of the hill and looking out, right? Looking out and seeing the view and nature. And saw a couple falcons, hawks, whatever you want to call them, right? Saw a couple of those, saw some eagles, some turkey vultures. And you're just out and about, and you're with somebody and you're doing something that you love to do. Now, that exercise on Saturday morning completely tweaked my brain, right? You hear this from athletes all the time. They talk about runner's high, different endorphins, things like this, adrenaline, things that impact you not just physically, but mentally, right? So Saturday, I end up having just a fabulous day. Now, here's the other side of the coin. The other side of the coin was, on Sunday, I was scheduled with late notice to be the guest on dealervendormatch.com's presentation of Sunday Night Live with Paul. I'm going to mess up his name. I think it's Miejer. I think Miejer. Super brilliant, fantastic guy in the automotive field who invited me, right, the owner of the Power Sport Academy, to come to his live show and share the difference between power sports and automotive in a service environment. So the mountain biking increased my mental capacity and attitude and behaviors and really kept me going for the whole weekend. I mean, just kept me energized. I went to church with Heidi on Sunday. We worked with the kids. Again, another endorphin rush, right? Serving and helping others. Had a great meal. We had pasta carbonara. And then I jumped in and did the show. The show went fantastic. In fact, the show went so good, we're breaking it into parts, and we're going to do part 2 this coming Sunday. So how exciting is that? That when you say, I don't want to do this, and then you force or you push yourself through it, and it ends up having positive results. So that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about. The other thing I want to talk about to you today is, I put out a weekly value-added email, right? This weekly email goes out to people that are on the list. I'm going to say it again. If you're not on the list, but you'll want to be on the list, just go to mañananomas.com, right? You'll see the Academy link in our main menu. When you open up the Academy, about halfway down that homepage is going to say, join the newsletter list, right? If you join that list, you're going to get the weekly value-added email, right? And that's going to send you information, not every day, not every hour. I'm not spamming people, but once a week, I try to get an email out that has some type of inspirational message. And then on top of that message, I usually try to attach at least 30, 40% of the time, I try to attach an asset, whether it's a PowerPoint or an ebook or something that deals with subject matter that impacts Mañana no Mas or one of our projects. Challenge Connection and the Power Sport Academy. Those are our 2 main projects, right? So as the representative of Mañana no Mas, it's really awesome to just be in touch with the circle, right? And I say circle, like the membership, just to be in touch with everybody and say, here's what I got this week for you. And then I encourage feedback from people like, hey, are we going down the right path? Do you want to see something different? What do you guys want to work on growing over this next fiscal quarter? What's a focal point for the next half a year or the next semester if you're a student, right? Like how can I best serve this audience but stay on point? So I thought about the show I did Sunday. I thought about people I spoke to on the board of directors at a national organization the week before. I think about people that own or are the presidents of major corporations that I have been able to get together on discovery calls, network with, and possibly have future interactions with, right? I'm thinking about the podcast that I recorded with Eric Allen and published, and the other podcast I recorded with Eric Allen that's going to be on his show. We did a podcast exchange. So in the very near future, you're going to see Mañana no Mas and the Power Sports Academy on the Eric Allen show. I think about this dealer vendor match show that I was just on. And people are going to start to see this outpouring of content. They're going to start to see a lot of professionals sharing what I'm doing with the Power Sports Academy, right? Power Sports Dealer News has been sharing a lot of our posts lately, right? Motorcycle Industry Jobs has been sharing a lot of our posts lately. I had people at the old Henry Lonsky organization, I think they're called V20 now, reach out to me, right? So there's a lot of things going on, and people that are late to the game, and this is what I wrote about in today's email. People that are late to the game might be tempted to say, oh man, that Kurt guy, he's lucky. All these people are starting to find him. He's really lucky. If you've been watching or you've been tracking these, Mañana no Mas morning check-ins and these weekly messages that used to be daily messages, and you're following along on social media on some of the things that I'm posting up on social, you know that for the last 2 solid years, I have been very actively building this network and community to be strong. When I look at my email list go out, I'm not looking for 10% open rates, right? 10% open rates is what generic marketing people that buy generic mailing lists look for when they're trying to spam people to buy, tents made in China or whatever, okay? That's not the performance I'm looking for in my marketing communication. What I'm looking for is 40%, 45% open rates. And I'm looking for click-throughs on links to make sure that people actually reading the articles that I send them, right? I got to stop saying right all the time. I gotta work on that. Hold me accountable. Somebody needs to count how many times I say right in these public morning things and just comment. every day with how many times I say like, and sooner or later, I'll get embarrassed enough to stop doing it. But here's my thing. If you're late to the show, you're going to say, I'm lucky. If you've been here the whole time, you're going to say, it's finally working. If you're like people that were in my close-knit circle, right? So you have a circle, right? Your community, but then you have an inner circle, right? Everybody should have an inner circle. People like your own personal board of directors, right? If you think about my own personal board of directors, there's a high percentage that would have said, Kurt, this doesn't look like it's going anywhere. Maybe you should change channels. Maybe you should increase your job search a little bit. Maybe you should do something different. Maybe you should, and it comes from love. It comes from concern. They're not out to sabotage you. I know this. But when you're on a path and you have belief in that path and you follow that path, when it starts to become real, when it starts to pick up momentum, when it starts to become something that's going to work, all of a sudden everybody starts saying how lucky you are. But they're discounting all of the work and consistency that you put in. So today, in the value-added email that went out today, I usually hit Mondays, but today I chose Tuesday. I'm going to try and sample Tuesdays for a little while and see what happens to that open rate and click-through rate. When all this comes to fruition, when all of this begins to work out, when all of this momentum starts to come true, the amount of reward and the personal satisfaction that comes from this is better than any job that you could do. It's really cool to have a couple of wins at the office. It's really awesome to have, people be impressed with the work that you do, but it's a whole other level when momentum hits your own project and you're able to make better decisions and you're able to think things through and you're able to amass a level of success that other people would see and go, oh, what a lucky guy. And on that note, I'm going to end today. Here's the messages to take away. If you feel like you don't want to do something that you know you should do, go ahead and do it anyway and see what the reward is at the end of doing it. In this case, as I drug that conversation on, you might be saying, hey, maybe he doesn't want to send a weekly email. Maybe he doesn't want to make a daily video. Maybe he doesn't want to check his email every 3 hours, right? But I do it. And through that work and through that consistency and through follow through and nurturing my circle, we're able to see some growth and momentum. And that's where the reward is. It's all coming, folks.